If you're the best technical engineer on your team and you still haven't been promoted, it may be that your manager is using a hidden checklist and your technical skills only cover about 20% of it. Today, I'm exposing the real criteria most managers use to decide promotions. If you tick these boxes, you'll force their hand. The first criteria turns out to be excellent technical skills. Your boss is going to assume that you're technically able if you're an engineer, but being technically able is really only the start of the task to getting promoted. In fact, it's only about 20% of what most managers consider when promoting somebody because they have normally so many engineers who are technically able. A way that you can really up your game here is make sure that your technical skills are in those areas that are critical to the success of the business. In other words, ensure that those technical skills are going to be critical to the success of the department that you're in and to the programs and the products that your company has. If you do that, then not only will your boss see that you're technically able, but he's able to see that you're technically able, in fact, at the top of the heap when it comes to those things that are most important to the company's success. The second criteria that managers use when making decisions on promoting engineers is the impact you're having on the business. In other words, are there clear metrics that they can point to that show that you're increasing business sales, that you were essential to a particular product launch, maybe that you were essential to winning a particular contract with a customer because you worked on the proposal, or you were in that meeting where the customer decided to choose your company, or maybe you're the one that gave the presentation that won that customer over. If your manager can point to these things that you are critical on achieving that had direct business impact, there's a certain result for that. And the result is that your manager has an easier time in selling to his bosses the fact that you need to be promoted. It turns out when your boss makes a decision to promote you, he has to sell that idea and promote you to his management. It can't just normally be his decision alone. He has to provide reasons why you must be promoted. And having impact, a direct, traceable, and numbers behind it kind of record on positive impact on the business of the company you're working for is a very strong reason that your boss can apply in promoting the idea of you getting that next pay raise and of you getting that next level in the organization, that next level promotion. The bottom line is make your boss's job easier when it comes time to him deciding to promote you. He's going to promote those engineers that have a track record of positive impact on the business because it makes it easier for him to sell your promotion. Another reason that having a positive impact on the business is that other officers of the company and senior managers will begin to take notice of the impact you're having on the business, especially if you're being proactive and communicating those benefits you're having on the business. Then when it crosses their desk, this idea of promoting you that your boss is trying to convince other managers of, then it becomes easier for the whole organization to agree in unison that it's time to promote you. So for these reasons, work on those projects and perform extremely well on those projects that have a major impact on the success of the business. And you want to be able to have metrics like he won a contract that was worth $2.5 million to the company, or she was essential in us completing this proposal that ended up winning a $3 million contract for the company. Certain metrics like that, or your efforts reduced the overall cost of this project by 20%, or your efforts resulted in the contract completing on schedule. The third criteria is influence and leadership. You have to be able to show to your boss that you have the ability to lead and to influence groups successfully. And it turns out that the reason why is that if your boss promotes someone who ends up being a terrible leader, that's going to reflect negatively on him or her, because they promoted you, and yet you turned out to be maybe a very poor leader or maybe a disaster as a leader. So they're going to be very careful. Your boss is going to be very careful about choosing who he promotes, because promotions lead to leadership, and you have to demonstrate that you've got this track record of leadership. So what does that mean practically? It means that when you have the opportunity to be the lead on a particular product development, even though you don't have the higher promotion yet, take that opportunity. Be the lead engineer on a particular effort. Be an engineer on those projects that have a lot of interdisciplinary efforts to them, where you're working with engineers from other different disciplines or other different parts of the program or different parts of the company, where you need to work with maybe, let's say, sales and marketing, or you need to be working very closely with the manufacturing engineering or quality. Or maybe if you're a mechanical engineer, you need to work very closely with some industrial engineers or systems engineers or electrical engineers. Demonstrate that you can work on these interdisciplinary teams and that you can communicate well and get along with those other team members. And then let's say that the opportunity comes around for you to be the lead on a module or a subsystem, where you may have one or two or more engineers helping you on that effort. Then take that opportunity. Lead well, become a servant leader, which is a whole different teaching, whole different video. But become that servant leader where you help your team be successful, and together you lead to delivering massive value to your department and to the customer. If you're able to do that, your manager is going to see you as a successful leader, and it's going to be easier for him to promote you, because he's going to have more confidence in your abilities. He's not going to worry in the back of his mind, is this guy going to really be a leader? Is this gal going to really be able to lead teams? That fear will be dissipated by your track record. The fourth criteria is the narrative that you've communicated within the company about your background and your ability. Whether you know it or not, your actions, your words, the sum of total of all of the communication that you've had verbally and in writing over time accumulates and has the effect of creating a narrative in the minds of those that you work with and those that are managers and overseers in your company. That narrative, whether you like it or not, is the sum total of all of the communication and interactions that you've had. So focus on having very clear communication to those that are around you. Treat others with respect and kindness. Be that person who your boss sees as an easy person to promote, that there aren't going to be any hidden like skeletons or maybe interactions that you've had in the past that have been difficult, or maybe you've had some conflicts on the teams that you've been on. You want to avoid that at all cost, because what it does is it creates this negative narrative for your reputation inside of the company. So be very conscientious in how you deal with others and interact with teams that you're on. So your technical skills get you in the door, but it's these other criteria that are going to make the difference between you getting promoted or not getting promoted. My suggestion is that you score yourself 1 to 10 on all 4 of these criteria, and then work on those criteria where you score yourself the lowest. Work to develop all of these skills so that you're at least an 8 or maybe a 9 on all of these. If you're weak in one of these particular areas, drop a comment. And then what I will do is I will respond with suggestions on how you can improve.